What if a city blessed with beauty, wealth, and abundance could lose everything in a single day? Long ago, in the fertile valley of the Jordan, two cities stood among the most prosperous in the ancient world, Sodom and Gomorrah. Their fields were green, their markets overflowed with riches,
Spices from
their
the east,
people lived in
finest in
comfort
Sodom.
and
Indeed, a
luxury.
fine selection.
Yet beneath their prosperity, something darker was growing. Pride replaced humility, greed replaced compassion, and wickedness spread through the land like a hidden
Please help
fire.
us. We are
The
starving.
cries of the
Have mercy,
oppressed
just a scrap
rose
of
to
bread.
heaven,
Begone, you deserve your
and
fate.
God heard them. One warm afternoon, Abraham sat outside his tent beneath the great oaks of Mamre. As he looked into the distance, he saw three travelers approaching, but these were no ordinary men. They were messengers from heaven. Abraham hurried to welcome them, offering water, food, and rest. As they shared a meal together, the Lord revealed a solemn message. The wickedness of Sodom and Gomorrah had become great. Their sin had reached heaven itself. Judgment was coming, yet Abraham knew that God was both just and merciful. So he stepped forward and asked a bold question. Will you destroy the righteous with the wicked? Again and again, Abraham pleaded. What if 50 righteous people were found? What if 40, 30, 20, 10? Each time the Lord answered with patience and mercy. If I find 10 righteous people there, I will spare the city. Abraham's heart remained heavy. He hoped that somewhere within those walls righteousness still remained. As evening fell, two heavenly messengers arrived at the gates of Sodom. There sat Lot, Abraham's nephew. When he saw the visitors, he welcomed them immediately and urged them to stay in his home. Lot knew the reputation of the city. He understood the dangers that lurked in its streets after dark. Reluctantly, the visitors accepted his invitation. But before the night was over, the true condition of the city would be revealed. As darkness covered the streets, a crowd gathered outside Lot's house. The people
No,
of
my
Sodom
friends,
surrounded the home
I beg
and
you, don't
demanded
do
that the
this.
visitors
They
be
are
brought
guests in my
outside.
home.
The city had become consumed by violence, corruption, and cruelty. Its people no longer cared for justice. They no longer feared God. Their hearts had become hardened, and now the evidence of their wickedness stood fully exposed. As the crowd pressed forward, the heavenly messengers acted. In a moment, divine power filled the night. The attackers were struck with blindness. Confusion spread among them. Fear replaced arrogance. And Lot finally understood who his guests truly were. These were messengers sent by God. The time for warning had ended. Judgment was near. The messengers spoke urgently. Gather your family and leave this city. The Lord has sent us to destroy this place. Lot rushed to warn those connected to his household, but many laughed. They could not imagine that judgment would ever come. Their city was wealthy. Their lives were comfortable. They believed they were secure, and so they ignored the warning. As dawn approached, Lot still hesitated. Perhaps fear held him back. Perhaps attachment to the city clouded his judgment. The scriptures do not say, but God's mercy acted even when Lot struggled. The messengers took Lot, his wife, and his daughters by the hand, and they led them safely beyond the city walls. Run for your lives, they said. Do not look back. Then, as the sun rose over the horizon, judgment fell. Fire and burning sulfur rained from the heavens. The sky turned red. The earth trembled. Buildings collapsed. Fields burst into flames. The cities that once stood proud were consumed in a single morning. Everything was lost. The wealth, the luxury, the power, gone. Yet even as they escaped, one final tragedy unfolded. Lot's wife turned back. Her heart remained tied to the life she was leaving behind. She looked toward the burning city, and in that moment she disobeyed the warning. The consequence was immediate. She became a pillar of salt, a lasting reminder that deliverance requires trust and obedience. Far from the destruction, Lot and his daughters found refuge in the mountains. The smoke of the ruined cities rose in the distance. The valley that once overflowed with life now stood silent. Judgment had come, yet mercy had also been shown. God remembered Abraham's prayer, and because of that mercy, Lot and his family were rescued. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is more than a story about destruction. It is a story about justice, a story about mercy, a story about the consequences of pride, cruelty, and corruption. But it is also a story about hope. Before judgment came, warnings were given. Before destruction fell, mercy reached out. And even today, that same mercy remains available. God is patient, God is compassionate, and God still calls people to turn toward Him. Victory, kids! This story teaches us 4 important lessons. First, always choose kindness and help others. The people of Sodom became selfish and stopped caring for those in need. Second, do not follow the crowd when the crowd is making wrong choices. Stand up for what is right, even when it is difficult. Third, listen when God gives guidance. Lot's family was warned to leave the city, and obedience led to safety. Fourth, remember that God is full of mercy. Just as God remembered Abraham's prayer and rescued Lot, He cares for those who trust Him. When we choose kindness, courage, obedience, and faith, we grow into the people God wants us to be. Now, Victory Kids, if you like this story and wish to see more, don't forget to ask your parents to kindly subscribe, like, and share this lovely story. See you next time, and remain victorious.